Let's see. Having a hard time deciding on this one. Is it okay to animate along with 3D walk cycle tutorial or turn it in it as own? Do you mean so just following a tutorial on how to do a walk? Definitely, like if you want to try it, do it. Following along with tutorials is totally fine. Especially when you're learning, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you are using it for a final submission for either school or for a work project, especially work project, you wouldn't want to do that. You would want to follow along first, learn what it is, how to do the thing, and then from there, make your own. So one of the things that I would do when I was a student, first learning animation, is I would find tutorials. Let's say a walk cycle, but it would be a pendulum, it would be a ball bounce, anything. And I would basically just copy what they did. Just follow along exactly, copying along, even like matching the values down to the percentage or to the like decimal point. And I would try to get it as close as possible, and I would watch and try to think, why am I doing this? What is the point of putting this value in here? What is the point of the graph editor looking like this? And I would study and analyze why. Then I would try to do it all on my own. So I would record some reference and then look at my reference, try to understand where my poses should be, and then try to redo that walk, but this time with my own, like without looking at the tutorial, putting my own values, putting my own touch on it. And this way you learn what you needed to do, what the graph editor should look like, what the value should look like, how the movement should work, but now you're making your own version of it. So especially when you're doing something for production, let's say, there are times when even now I'm trying to learn something for a production. Maybe like recently it's been doing XGen hair in Maya. So actually doing actual hair in Maya, not like a polygon that looks like hair. No, actual strands of hair. I've been learning how to do that. And I've been following a lot of tutorials, but for the final product, I'm not just going to copy the numbers from a tutorial. I'm going to be making my own, making it for this specific scene. I'm not going to copy from, like, there's some presets in Maya that you can use. I'm not going to be just taking one of those and then kind of going, haha, done. So it's a matter of, it's okay to copy for your own sake, but then you want to expand on it and make it your own. That's what's going to make you like even better all the time. How did you go through AM without your and Cameron's demos? I follow every single one of them. We had older demos that were, well, I'll just put it this way, they were older. And sometimes there was some information missing. And back in those days, like when I was an animation student, this was like when YouTube was just starting. Online videos weren't really a thing. I still remember a lot of the videos that we used to watch. It's like tiny little, like, think of a video the size of like post-it note, like just a tiny little square video online, and you're trying to look at what values, like what did they put in Maya, what was that, you try to expand it, it's all 5 pixels so you can't see anything, and it's like, I can't make it out, I think it's this. No HD videos back then. It was so weird. Like thinking back, I don't know how we did it. Could you follow their steps as long as you don't copy their values? Yeah, you could follow their steps. Again, when you're making it your own, you would want to try to do it yourself without, how to put this, so you're still following their steps. So like, for example, the steps of a vanilla walk are, you do a contact pose, you do your down pose when the hips go down, you do your passing pose when the legs pass each other, You do the up pose where the hips are at their highest. Then you do the contact pose again when the foot contacts the ground, and you repeat that. Those are the steps of a vanilla walk, and for most walks actually. Now, with that said, that is, if you were to copy this, that is not a bad thing. That is the mechanics of a walk. Now, if you were to, like, let's say, watch a tutorial and you see this pose here in the walk, and you then take your shot and go, okay, I'm gonna copy this, and you're looking at it like pixel by pixel and going, okay, my pose is gonna be right here, and okay, look at the other shot, okay, and my leg is gonna be right there, okay, and okay, my foot's gonna be right here, and what's the angle of the toes? Okay, it's gonna be right here. That's getting a little towards the copying side. So it's that difference between understanding the steps to create something and then doing it yourself versus copying. And actually, let me show another way you can do this. Another way to think about it. Let me open this up here super quick, because it is a good this is a very good topic, because it's a gray line. It's a very gray line. But let's see here. I like the music. I need to... Okay, let me add something here. We're going into tech mode here in just a little bit, where I need to capture my display. Boop. There we go. Oh no, my face. There we go. So I'm going to, let's say I want to learn how to draw something. The same thing. When you're learning how to draw, when you're learning how to animate, it's a similar process. We're studying and then trying to apply things. And let's say I want to learn how to draw Sir Fuego. So this is a character my brother made. This is actually one of his paintings, one of my brother's paintings. And let's say I want to start learning how to draw Sir Fuego. Well, there's a few steps we can do. The first one is study. Now, studying can involve master studies, which is when you really try to analyze how things work. They can involve anatomy studies, all sorts of different things. So for example, let's say I want to do a master study of Sir Fuego here. Well, a master study might be me actually tracing and going, okay, how does his nose work? Okay, there's this forehead. Okay, I'm noticing a flat here. And I'm not just tracing. I'm not just going, okay, curve, head, okay, done. Haha, yay, I've got it. No, every step of the way, I'm analyzing. This is the same thing you do with animation. If you're copying the animation, is you're not just copying it, you're understanding why. So for example, I want the forehead. And yes, my brother created this character. And he's got a whole comic thing that he's trying to create with this as well, which is really cool. So I see, okay, the head, there's a little roundness there. It goes flat, okay. Now he's got his cranium right here that goes back, and then there's the cheek. Okay, so I'm starting to see the forms that come into making this character. How high are his eyebrows to his head? How far do they go to the back? Okay, so I'm tracing, but I'm trying to understand why. What are the shapes? You've got the form of the cheek here, and his cheek actually presses towards his mouth, which then you get the mouth there. Okay, how wide is his neck? What's the curvature of the neck? The front of the neck is actually very straight, whereas the back is kind of bent there. I'm doing these master studies. Okay, that's okay. I would never post these though. I would never post these master studies as an assignment or as a final product, because it is literally copying. Once you've done that, now you can start to, like, you start understanding the steps. Okay, his head is basically a circle, then you get the circle for the cheek and the big thing for the nose. Good. Now, when I want to create my own thing, what I want to do is, I don't want to trace, but I also don't want to copy. So what I mean by copy is, let's say, okay, now I'm going to draw my own, or I'm going to animate my own. What I'm not going to do is go, okay, let's draw my own version. And I'm looking at the original and going, okay, there's the line. There's the forehead. Okay, the nose is right here. The nostril is, let's say, right there. This is still a master study. Even though I'm not doing it on top of the other, I'm still copying the original. That's not right. Instead, I want to take the steps that I learned from before and just create my own thing. So hide the original and go, okay, let's say I want him to maybe we have him sitting down and like looking down at something. Well, we've got the head. It's a sphere for the top of the head. You've got the cheek here, and then you've got the nose. Well, the nose is, he's going to be looking down a little bit. Maybe we'll have the other eye here. And I'm just using the things, using the steps that I've learned from how he was created to now create my own picture with him. And the reason this is important is now, instead of having to always be reliant on creating something based on the original, I can now create that own understanding in my head and create any pose that I want with him. Same with the walk. Once you understand the fundamentals of the walk and you start applying them to any walk, you can animate any walk. That's what you want. You never want to be reliant on, well, the only way I can animate a walk is if I have an existing one there and I can copy it or trace it or follow along with it. That defeats the purpose of learning. The point of learning is so that you can do it on your own afterwards. So now I can start I'm not going to do this well. I'm not very good at drawing Sir Fuego. I should ask Cameron to help me learn how to draw him. Now, with that said, I can always come back in here and go, okay, where am I going off here? The eyebrows are okay. The eye, let's see. I'm going to move this drawing as well. So you can always use reference. So for example, the eye, I'm noticing that he's got this kind of like line right here, and the nose is a little lower. So I drew the nose a little too high right there. There we go. That's better. And then it kind of curves in there. But you can see it's a totally different angle that I'm drawing at. And we get that rounder cheek. It's a little rounder there. There we go. And then let's get that eye in there. So this is kind of the key, is the difference between tracing, copying, master studies, and then actually learning so that you can do it on your own. Hopefully that makes sense. So in the case of the